Good evening. This is the planning board meeting of Tuesday, July 1. We have a quorum, so is there a motion to open the meeting?
Motion?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Our first item this evening is we have some resolutions. So our first one is for Lifschultz, 132 Old Roaring Brook Road. This is an application for a site development plan approval to convert an existing garage attic into an accessory apartment. So we heard this last time we met. We did it as really as a one and done. And we instructed staff to put together a resolution, and here we have it before us. So we got that one little minor change right there. It was very minor. In fact, that was the word, minor. Change. And does anyone else have any questions or issues?
I would like to, if possible, could we add to the resolution? This was the, if I recall, this was the unit where we were swapping bedrooms.
Yes. Going from 5 to 4 in
Going
the
from
house.
5 to 4 and
Yep.
shifting one over to the garage. And my concern was 2 families living in there and the system be able to handle it. I understand that the county has the rules and we cannot go against the county. However, can we make as part of the resolution, the homeowner going forward, every 2 years gets the system pumped?
Well, I think we have something in
We have something in the code, but that's not always strictly adhered to.
Right.
Can we make this homeowner do it and then just send a copy of the receipt into the town every 2 years to ensure it's being
Greg, the New York City watershed properties are required according to New York State to maintain their septic system once every 5 years and submit documentation to the town.
This is watershed?
And the town is applying that regulation townwide.
Doesn't the
Because
town,
we also have that requirement in the Indian Brook watershed.
doesn't the town now request every 2 to 3 years you have your system?
No, it's 5 years.
It's 5 years, okay.
Any conscientious homeowner knows to do it within 3.
Can we reduce the 5 to a lower number?
I don't know that we would have any means of tracking that. We are in the process of developing means to track the state requirement.
Okay, fair enough.
I would hate to add another time frame to that. I think once we get established in accordance with what the state wants us to do, I think we can then start looking to reduce it.
Gotcha. Okay, now let's move on.
Okay. Any other questions, Stuart? No. Okay. Jeff, any questions? Jeff Seigler, no, Jeff Seigler is here. Okay. He's here.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay, great. Okay, is there a motion then to adopt the resolution with that one minor adjustment?
Yeah, motion.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
so four and however you classify the folks who are not here,
Got it.
we'll classify them that way. Okay. Our next item is the Meredith, 14 Wolf's Hill Road. This is an application for a preliminary subdivision plat approval for the merger of 2 tax lots into one. This is the one that we heard last time around also. It was really at the sort of at the direction of the ZBA to make this comply with their variances. So any questions or issues on the language enclosed here or part of this?
No.
Jeff, any questions?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, very good. So everyone else is good with it, so is there a motion then to adopt the resolution for the Meredith application?
Motion?
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, 4-0 carried. Next item is a public hearing. This is for the Newcastle Fire District, number 1. This is 491 King Street. This is an application for a site development plan amended for a modification of the previously approved site lighting. So is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, thank you. Let's stop our momentum. We're really moving here.
Getting set up here.
Yep.
Yes, I'm sure.
So we have some supplemental lights that were I think attached with the building, right, and some other ones that you wanna add.
And some existing to remain.
Yes.
That's much. I keep getting a warning on my screen that I'm not using the audio, so
Oh,
it's not showing up here because I'm logged into the, so I just wanted to make sure it wasn't there, so that's fine. Good evening, Chairman Kirkwood, members of the board. My name is Joe Modafferi with JMC. I'm Senior Project Manager for this project. It's been a while since we've seen you before. I'm here tonight with this is here tonight with Lynn Wine, the project attorney, and then Dwight Smith and Ed Frank, commissioners with the Board of Fire Commissioners. We are here tonight for an amended site plan approval to modify the site lighting for the project. I'm sure you've seen that the project is under construction. I know that there is some new members here since last time we were here, or even since this project. Real quick history of the project, we received our initial approval in October of 2016, then a filling, grading, and demo permit in April of 2018. Then we were back in front of you for our first site plan amendment in July of 2023 so that we could put the New York State DOT permit at the point of certificate of occupancy because we were still working through some of the issues with them and wanted to get started on construction, which the board granted. And then our second amendment to the approval was just last September, where we had a temporary trailer approved on the parking lot that the district owns. And then building permit was issued in October of 2024. Quick summary of the amendments we're requesting. Light fixtures that were previously proposed on the building at the time of the previous proposal on the existing building were removed from the project due to budgetary issues, and we were going to leave the existing lights to remain in place. Since then, I'll get into some detail on some lights that were installed during construction on the existing building. So we're looking to keep those lights in place. And then we had incorporated 2 additional lights over truck bays of the proposed expansion on King Street, and we're proposing an alternate to the pole-mounted lights that was previously approved. This little warning box wants me to. All right. So just another, as related to the project history, we purchased the previously adjacent animal hospital, merged the lots, and did the project expansion. The project expansion was based on studies that were done in 2013 and 2014 that evaluated current and future needs of the firehouse and the district to operate and serve the community, which included addition of larger trucks, more state-of-the-art equipment, providing safe training space for the firefighters, and consolidation of the equipment and operations on other parcels that the fire district owns. Sorry, this little box keeps popping up on my screen that I'm not in the audio and it does not want to. See if I can fix this. Let me see if I can turn off the audio somehow. It just does not want to. Does not want to let me continue.
well. You can bypass it, you're okay.
Alright, so. There we go. So just as a context, this is the previously existing firehouse that exists there today, and these are the two parcels that were purchased. The animal hospital and their parking lot, and then the district also owns the parking lot on the opposite side of the street. And that's an existing conditions map. And then the layout plan for the project. So we have a driveway that comes in off of Bedford Road and then is one way out to Memorial Drive. And then circulation for the firehouse was intended to be and will be one-way circulation for the fire trucks where they will come in through Memorial Drive and exit via King Street. Just to give you a sense of what the overall project is. Under pre-existing conditions, this driveway here that currently exists is one way or was one way and wraps around the existing building and exited onto King Street. Currently, under construction, there is the firefighters are using this parking area for parking so that the firehouse can remain in operation during construction. So that will come into play in the discussions later as we get into the proposed changes. So this is the approved lighting plan that's in front of you. We had the flex style lighting fixtures on all the pole mounted fixtures in the site. And we had these little square boxes around the building that were to replace and or supplement the existing lighting on the building that I mentioned earlier was removed as part of the project due to budgetary concerns. And we had a single fixture over the middle truck bay. So there's 3 truck bays on the building. We had a single fixture over the existing truck bay. At the time of the approval, there was concern about light spillage over the property line because we were adjacent to a residential zone, which is there's a residential use right here and a residential zone that kind of follows that property line and comes around this way like this. So the result of this previously approved plan was no light spillage off the property line. And these are the cut sheets that were part of your package for the approved plan. So this was the flex style pole mounted light fixture, and the wall mounted light fixture was this one here. Now the proposed lighting plan, we are proposing to basically maintain the location of the pole mounted lights but switch it to a more utilitarian shoebox style fixture. There's 2 reasons for that. One is budgetary. The flex style fixtures that were approved to put all of those in versus these is a difference of about $20,000. And secondly, as we were looking at this, we found that this project was approved 2016. The flex style fixtures in the format that they were approved with the lighting mechanisms in the fixture is no longer available. So they can no longer provide a fixture that allows for cutoff at the property line in the previous locations, whereas this proposed pole mounted fixture will do that. And then there was, again, 1 light fixture over this truck bay. The center truck bay, we're proposing 3. We were able to find a different light fixture that we can put light over each truck bay for safety purposes for the firefighters and maintenance of trucks and whatever they're doing for the operation, but will still result in no spillage over the property line for the in this area along King Street or along our neighbor's property here. And then again, the existing lights to remain on the existing building. So,
And that's more than two, you're just tagging two, right?
yes. So as I said before, during construction,
Well, I get
no, I'm getting to the point where there's more lights there. So the original intent was to just leave existing as they were and come back to you and explain that because they were existing, doing what they were doing. And while the firefighters were using this parking lot in the back as a temporary situation where it's kind of a big wide turnaround area, they're parking where they can to go out and do what they have to do to fight fires or address emergencies or whatever it may be. They had expressed concern about the lack of lighting back there to the Board of Fire Commissioners. So the Board of Fire Commissioners utilized money in their maintenance budget to install 5 lights on the back of the building. So there's one here, and 2 here. I guess it's 4 lights, I'm sorry. So there's 4 lights here. So we're proposing as part of this application now to keep those lights in place.
And those lights match the existing ones?
No, they do not.
Are they close?
No.
No, okay. So now there's 2 sets of lights on the two sets of existing fixtures.
Yeah,
Okay.
the existing fixtures are a lot of like the old school spotlights or just,
Yeah, you
lights
have
over the
pictures of them
doors.
in the package.
I do, yes, and I have them in the presentation as well. So this slide shows that with the proposed lighting or lighting as proposed today, we have some minimal spillage shown in your package at Memorial Drive right here at this driveway, which we can fix and are working on adjusting. That simply requires taking this one light fixture and sliding it down the page, just the slightest bit to get that out of play. And then there is some light spillage over the some minimal light spillage over the car wash property and the utility property here. There's some transformers on the property there. And that is basically a direct result of the fixtures that were installed on the building.
So the spillage is coming from those lights on the building?
Yes, that's correct.
Can they be adjusted?
Um,
Hoods or otherwise to fix that?
Not really, no, because of the type of fixture they are. And you'll see when we get to the
And to clarify or to confirm, this will still be used for parking when you're finished, because that's one of the parking areas that,
that's correct.
you're seeing that permanently.
Yes, that is part of the
Along
permanent
the
parking.
side there,
Yes.
King Street.
And the 2 parcels to the north are a commercial zone district, right? It's not residential.
Commercial zoned and commercial use. In fact, one is a utility,
Utility,
transformer, which will probably remain that for
For a long time.
a long time. And my guess is they would appreciate some light on there if they're out there in the dark trying to fix something. But this plan does maintain no light spillage on our neighbor's property, on the residential property, or along King Street, or along Bedford Road.
I think in addition, along the residential area, we also have some built into the approved plan, some vegetative buffering as well,
That's correct.
which would even help that situation even more so. It doesn't look like we have room up here. I don't recall that we had a vegetative buffering up there with those
No,
lots.
there's a retaining wall that's right at the property line and and a fence there, so.
And the apron where you're putting the 3 lights across the street is your parking lot, isn't it? Is that your parking lot right across?
Down here?
Yeah.
Yes,
Is that
that's
your
our
lot?
yes.
So those 3 lights are impacting your lot the most?
They're really not impacting anyone.
If they were.
If they were, yes. I mean, according to this analysis, there is no light spillage
Right.
on the street. We didn't go out and do a lighting analysis on the street, but if you stand out there with the lights from the gas station and everything else that's going on there, it's pretty bright at night on that street anyway.
Right.
At one point we were going to consider doing that, but it didn't really seem necessary because we are having the cutoff at the property line. I will tell you that, this analysis there are some existing lights on the building that are some old school spotlights or the old school lights over at doors or above doors that are not included in this analysis because they're just too old to even try to figure out how to do that.
Are they sodium halide or that old or that bad?
They're just standard like
Yeah, they're just like
screw-in
floodlights.
spotlight
Like
bulbs, and
floodlight
I have some
bulbs.
photos of them.
Yeah, you'll see
And
the
even
shot.
just standard light bulbs in a
You buy
kind
them,
of a.
yeah, you could buy at CVS probably.
Yes. So, so these are the existing lights on the existing building. This is slide one of that. So the blue circles here show so there was 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fixtures that were installed by the fire district. After construction started, and then the red lights or the red circles that you can see here at the door, and then this is on the side of the building, not facing the parking lot, facing what is that, Bedford
120?
Road?
120, 117, right?
Yeah. 117. So, and then these are the ones on the front of the building, which are basically just simple spotlights over the truck bay doors, and some of them are even just like this one is just the red light that's required by something related to the firehouse to say that, this is a firehouse,
Right.
safe zone, whatever it really means, I'm not really sure, but, and then these are the light fixtures that are either installed or proposed to be installed. So this fixture here is the one that was installed by the fire district, so you can see that it is it doesn't really have a shield on it. And I guess one could be made aftermarket, but I don't know what it would do or how to even analyze how it would do that. It's not something that would be made available, by the company that.
Do you know what lamp is in that? The temperature of the lamp in there? Is it white or yellow?
I believe it's white. It's 3000 K. There is a switch in there.
2700 for, I think everything else in the job is 27.
It was 3000, I think.
3000 was approved?
I think so, yeah, because it was.
Let's check that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we,
It's usually
because typically 27 is the number we've been going for.
2700, yeah.
Yeah, so check
Okay.
that, please.
I was pretty sure we were at 3000.
Okay.
For everything. I know that I was told that there's a switch inside that fixture that you can go anywhere from 3 to 5. I told them get up there and turn it down to 3.
Down to 3, okay.
Yeah,
And it may have
so-
been approved at 3, we may have gone 2700 after you guys. Maybe you
Yeah.
guys beat us up and we decided no more after that.
okay.
Who knows?
We used to use candles when you guys were approved.
Yeah.
Well, the original firehouse.
No, this one too. It just seems like it.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So so this is just there's one or two that are shown on the plan that are underneath a canopy at a door, just your standard hi-hat. And then this one here is the same light fixture that is shown above the doors across the site. This is the fixture that we're proposing above the 3 truck bay doors at on the frontage where we don't have the cutoff.
The
So
the
those shine
sconce, the
downward?
one in the middle one?
I'm sorry?
Which one? The one that's a wall
They're
sconce?
yeah.
That one, okay.
yeah.
The black one or the white one?
I don't know if I'm guessing it's the black one, but it's the wall sconce here.
Yeah, because the
either
others look
white
like
or
they
the
just
black,
hang from the
but-
ceiling.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, those, yeah, the wall sconce.
and then this is the more utilitarian shoebox style fixture to replace the flex style fixture. So in summary, again, we're here to request amended site plan approval for the lighting as presented and submitted. This is for record for some of the new people. This is an image of the old firehouse, the previous animal hospital. We can transition to what is currently under construction now, just for reference. And then any questions anybody has, I'm happy to answer.
Very good. great, thank you.
Thank you.
Sabrina, you had some questions or comments?
My only comment was, I gave kind of a history, I guess previously there were 20 lights that were approved as part of the site plan approval for the site, and now there are 26 fixtures. As was discussed, the only issue that I see with the new lights is the light spillage, particularly onto the car wash property. We do have a code that says there shall be no light spillage onto neighboring properties. So my question, Joe, is, did you try locating the poles on the other side of the driveway?
So, we did not, but those lights, do not, spill onto the property. We provided in the package, which, I did not make part of the presentation, but, we provided in the package where we took the lights off the plan, the light poles in that area out of the plan, and we still had spillage from the lights mounted on the building.
Yeah, so again, it's really up to the planning board because this would be an exception. You guys have never approved a project that had light spillage off-site.
And Joe, on that, I think these various circles indicate the source of the light in the main area on this plan. So it seems to me that in looking at it, that the lighting on the building is not the cause of the spillage. Based on these concentric circles and Venn circles here, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but it seems to me maybe that's the main part of the lighting that shows on this plan. So I guess, I don't know what that really means, because it looks like it's drawn to show that it's not really the lights on the building that are causing the spillage. And to Sabrina's point, it appears that it might be from the pole lights.
Let me see if I can.
This is the later one, this is the 529 one from WLS Lighting.
Yep.
It does look like it's coming from those five. If you start following the photometrics a little bit further, the blue transition just above the word, this is basketball net. It goes from 1.0 to 0.9. So I believe that 1.0 is coming from one of those light fixtures. On 529, there's a, right above the word basketball net, there's a 1.1 and a 1.0.
Yep.
That appears to be coming from those fixtures.
I'm just gonna share again because I have the plan up. So it's,
And were those fixtures approved?
Well, when they were approved, whenever they were approved and wherever they were located, back when they were approved, there was no spillage.
so
So we have a change here with, some minor spillage, but to Sabrina's point, we've been very, very careful with spillage over the years. It's one thing to say it's a car wash right now, but that location could be, a residential building at some future point.
Good evening,
Yeah.
everyone, Lynn Weinig. I just wanted to clarify what the light spillage is in the code. I see in section 60-420D, the only reference to light spillage is with respect to residential properties. To the extent reasonably practicable, all exterior lighting used for non-residential purposes, including the lighting of signs, shall be directed away from adjoining residential properties and streets. I may have missed it, Sabrina, what part of the code it was in, that there shall be no light spillage, but I couldn't find anything in the code that specifically stated that.
I think the practice has been in the past, regardless of whether it's residential or commercial, the planning board's practice has been to keep light spillage to the subject site and not having it spill over.
So On the screen now there was a A5. There were two plans that were provided to you from WLS. One was
Right.
A4 and the other was A5. So this A5, the lights that were or are proposed along the property line here are not included in this analysis. So you can see here, there's, the little box symbol here, those are just graphic symbols from a previous plan that was provided to WLS, but the one that's here with the little arrow on it shows that they were included in the analysis. So this is just the lights on the building, those 5 fixtures that are causing the light spillage onto the adjacent property here.
So I might be confused. Do those exist at this point, or are they part
No,
of
they
your
do
plan?
not. No, those
Are they
don't.
part of the plan or no?
Well, they are part of the proposed plan. The purpose of submitting this exhibit was just to show that the without lights here, if we just kept the lights on the building as they exist today, as the district had installed them, that is the cause of this light spillage.
Would we see more spillage with these when they're put in? So the analysis does
So
not include
let's-
those.
Let's see, so that was roughly 1.9.7. Let's see if we can go back to,
But the 5 lights that are shown here, those are those not the ones that I'm looking at you put together a packet of photos. The first page has what appears to be those 5 lights that you previously circled in either red or blue. Those I believe were installed recently, and it's the upper left one on your sheet right here. Picture A.
yes, those sheets were installed recently.
Yes.
Or
My
those-
first question, going back to what I asked earlier, picture A, right, you have 5 fixtures A's on the building which were installed recently during the construction project. Were those previously on the plans that were approved, or are those new fixtures that were added during construction?
New fixtures added during construction.
But not
So-
the,
But-
not
The
but-
the
photometric plan that shows the 1.1 and the 1 that's above the word asphalt net, the fixtures that are causing that have not been approved by us yet. Is that a correct statement?
That is correct.
Okay.
Alright, so it looks like there is some, it looks like you got 1.1 and 1.0 right here. Right above basketball net without the fixtures, the pole mounted fixtures on the property line. And that goes to 1.3 and 1.1 right there. So there is a slight increase with the pole mounted fixtures. What I could propose is that let me see, we've got 4.0.
Joe, all these other numbers up here, there's some lighting up here. Is that from the transmitter, from Con Ed itself? Do they have some sort of lighting up there, or is that spilling out from the car wash, in the rear of the car wash?
We have no analysis of the car wash or
Okay.
anything included.
But there are numbers here, so I just wonder what the source is. I mean, maybe you're being penalized here, and it's not even your source. That's not coming from the fire department.
Nothing off-site is included in this analysis. So there may or may not be lighting there that is considered. We didn't go out with a light meter or
Mhm.
analyze anything
So the
existing.
0.4s and the 0.3s and the 0.6s in the utility site is from you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So looks like, let me see if I can.
Is there a threshold of point what?
I mean, 0 is it's no spillage.
0, okay.
And let's go here.
It'd be nice to know though what a 0.1 kind of looks like.
Just to, I mean, I could give you, 1 is considered like twilight,
Okay.
0.1 is deep twilight, and 10 is like a very dark day. Just to give you an what those numbers actually represent.
Okay.
So the
So-
point threes and the point fours are,
It's very
Small.
dark, it's still very dark, you know, it's enough, the recommendation, I think, for like minimal lighting in a parking lot, I think it's 0.2.
okay.
There's a lighting IEW something, it's the international something of recommendation, like I said, I think they recommend 0.2 so that's minimal lighting, so just to be able to see where you're walking.
So it seems like if you look at these two plans side by side, the one in the black and white is the proposed plan that we submitted to you with all of the lights included. So you're looking at here a 1.3 and a 1.1 right here where it says basketball net. If you come back over here, it's 1.1 and 1.0. So there is a slight increase with the lights along the property line, these two pole-mounted lights. And it does provide some better light in the parking lot itself for the firefighters.
And you might have a little bit higher levels up here as well, which might be from yours, it might not be, we really don't know the source of that, it seems like it could be.
Everything on here is only an analysis from our property. We did not
Right.
not go out and look at existing light levels anywhere around the property or at the property line to give a sense of what, what may or may not be there today.
Well, we're always careful of precedent, but it seems to me that we could make an argument in this particular case that this is emergency services. These are guys coming in very quickly, they need a certain amount of lighting so they don't get hurt before they go out, get to the fire. So it seems to me that we could, distinguish this particular application from any other that we've seen. I mean, we have done this with banks and we've said no spillage, even though we have a state law that we have to work with. You've probably done some of those. So it seems to me that if the board is so inclined, that we could find a way to distinguish this. There might still be some, we haven't heard from Jeff, but there might be some other things that they can do with hoods or just angling that will help. But it seems to me that I don't think we should hold up the fire district over this very, very modest twilight lighting in view of the need. I recognize what it was before, and there was, I think Jeff even had some questions about some lighting, whether no lighting in some of the front, and thought perhaps that they ought to add something there just for safety.
A question in the back, Joe. The 5 lights are up now during construction to add lighting to help out. When construction's over and those new poles are up, the 5 lights, maybe 1 light comes away and that helps eliminate the spillage? Food for thought, that might, maybe you don't need maybe you don't need the 5 and the 2 poles, you only need 4 and the 2 poles, and that might eliminate some of the spillage.
It may, I don't know which one or whatever, but
I'm sure analysis could give you an idea.
yeah, for sure, yes. I can't tell you right there tonight
I
which
didn't
one,
expect you to tell me exactly now.
but
But
yes,
that might be a way to make everybody happy.
Another thing that we could do is condition that whenever bulbs are replaced, they're replaced with 2700 Kelvin.
We can do that
Bring
too.
that down.
They're LED, Chairman.
yes.
Chairman, if I may, I'm in favor for sufficient lighting for the fire department, for quite frankly anybody that deal with this kind of stuff on a regular basis. My concern is, if you recall, I don't know if you're aware, CST had some replacement lights. And while there was no light spillage, so the residential properties nearby complained and they went to the zoning board because of the temperature, but also the overall wattage, that even though there may not be light spilling off the property to their property, they viewed it as a nuisance, especially during the winter when there was no foliage. So I think we just need to be careful on this topic. As it relates to aftermarket, there's an ability to get additional, to reduce the lumens that are coming off with aftermarket, even there's coverings that can go on that basically would reduce the glare coming off. So I'm in favor of making sure that there's enough light there, but we also need to be careful of what's happened in other hearings in front of the town boards.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Jeff, we haven't heard from you, you had some comments.
Yeah, I summarized, you know, they just deleted some and added new. Overall, the light intensities I think were decreased, but still ample lighting for the parking lots, which is what's important. The only thing I noted was the walkway in front,
Right.
there's no light for it,
Exactly.
but I would say if it's not used at night, that's up to the fire department if they need it or not, but just noting that there's no light on that front walkway.
That was consistent with the previous approval, it was kind of.
Yeah, I don't have, like I said, if nobody's coming in that way, there's no point lighting it. And that was really it. You know, I just note that, just wanna confirm that 90% of this light spillage, or nearly all the light spillage, comes from the 5 lights that were installed in between the original approval and what you're seeking now, this revised.
That's correct.
So it's just really something that, you know, it was done, you know, by the fire department for, you know, be it temporary, but it sounds like they'd like to make it permanent.
Right.
But you know, it's probably not a difficult ask to put some vertical shields on to prevent the spillage going, if you know, if the board feels it's that important. Because if you see the angle, there's no angle on those lights, they spray straight
just go
out,
out,
the new
yeah.
ones.
Yes.
You know, some sort of a, you know,
Even just changing the angle could make a big
I
difference.
think those are static, I don't think you can change the
Okay.
angle.
Yeah, those cannot be
But
changed.
the only thing you could do is
So-
either we could weld a shroud on the front of it to, you know, to prevent the light from going past the property line.
Well,
It's up to the board.
possibly prevent, because
Yeah.
because it would be an aftermarket thing, there would be no way to really analyze it. I mean, in a system.
In a system, no, you couldn't analyze the system, but in practice.
In reality, in practice,
in
you could
practice,
stand
you
out
could
there.
stand, you could stand on the, and
Yes.
say, where do I need to put the shroud down to in order
Mhm.
to keep light from going onto the, you know, off the property. And it would be crude, but it would work.
Yeah, but they also have the film that gets utilized in instances like this.
Absolutely, you could put a film over the front of it to, like, you know, to prevent the,
So you still get plenty of lumens coming off the front, but it's less
wouldn't come out
than
horizontally.
what's going down.
Mhm.
Or down.
The films, I'm just not sure about the longevity of those films, that's all. It's an option.
Okay, do they last as long as the bulbs? I mean, something has to be changed anyway, or?
Are those bulbs, or
No,
are they?
these are LED fixtures with the LEDs
I
in
mean, they're
them,
probably
so
built to last
They-
10,000.
You guys, but my LEDs burn out all the time.
Probably built to
Yeah.
last 10,000 hours at least.
Yeah.
But these type of fixtures, when the LEDs are done,
You replace the fixture.
Replace the
you
entire
replace the
fixture.
fixture.
Ah.
It's not a bulb or an LED replacement, you replace the fixture, so.
So hopefully they're like 10-year fixtures. At least, right?
I would hope so.
Well, what's your pleasure? It seems to me that we should, I would be in favor of trying to accommodate with various conditions what they've got here and making it work and getting them to move on. So whether it's a a condition that whenever you do change your bulb, or the fixture, it goes down to a 2700 Kelvin, that's fine. To the extent that there are aftermarket alternatives and film alternatives, we would just ask that you consider whichever one makes more sense to you, but do one of those and try to mitigate whatever spillage is, with the understanding that it may not be complete. And I think also the understanding that we don't want you to put some sort of welded thing up there that looks terribly ugly when you're building this new firehouse, or of course it's a fire. So whatever, again, leaving some flexibility to the applicant, does that make sense?
And I think still if there's a way to, even if after the pole lights are in, if we can see that, wow, it's bright enough out here, we don't need all 5 lights,
Correct.
you know, we look at maybe turning a light off, you know, or whatever, so.
Well, is there Greg or Jeff, is there a way of measuring, or Jeff,
Yeah.
measuring
For
the?
$100 at Home Depot, you can go get yourself a Klein light meter, it'll tell you. Pretty
There we
good,
go.
pretty good.
So we'll know what the lumens are, and then we would perhaps limit the aggregate lumens.
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
like
for all,
Nancy does.
quite frankly, sometimes you have those things and the model that says what the lumens are gonna be is not, you know, light or foot candles is not correct. And you need more lights, I mean, it's all put into a model. So I'm in favor of what Greg's proposing. I don't know, that's a post completion, just study, lights are going out there with a light meter.
Right.
I have one other question. Light fixtures C and D, maybe even E, have we already approved those?
Hold on a minute, and let me just.
Because you highlighted 4,000, 3,000, and I think 3,000 Kelvin. And they do have the ability to come in lower Kelvin per Greg's comment, but if you're the reason why it's changed, then not looking to hold you guys up.
So which ones were you asking about again?
I'm looking at your plan sheet from JNC, last revised 6/9/25, page 18A, where you have the cut sheets and you highlighted what the numbers were.
Okay.
So C, D, and I believe E, you're at 4,000, 3,000, and 3,000.
C is, so C was the fixture previously approved.
Okay.
D is the new fixture over just the 3 truck bays along King Street. And E was not previously approved, that's the hi-hat underneath the entries. So,
Okay.
I can double check those, you know.
I mean, if you go to the next page, you'll see in your cut sheets, you can, it looks like you've highlighted 3, you know, in the red box on the left, lower left, 3,000 when you can get them in 2,700, and it looks like the same thing for E. So, I mean, Greg, I know temperature's a big thing. If they haven't ordered them, or if they ordered them, I'm fine with it, but if not, then if we can get them in 2,700, that would be more aligned with what we're requiring others to do.
Correct. Would be very
I'm
consistent.
assuming D wasn't ordered yet because we're just looking at it today.
Yes, the only ones that have been ordered are the ones that are on the building today.
Which is A,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So actually, another thing to take into consideration, since we're keeping existing fixtures on the building, and you guys added this new one, the proposed new ones that are coming in, let's try to make sure the actual colors of the fixture, you know, so you don't have black, white, gray, all these, let's try to be consistent. So if everything on the building is existing is black, don't order white ones.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
Yep.
wanna make sure of that.
Yes.
Okay. With all this swapping, that sometimes happens.
Yes. Yeah, I think everything is either like a black or bronze color, which is what's there on the building today.
Okay. Any comments from the public on this application? Jeff, we went through all your comments, right? Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, not seeing any comments, is there a motion then to close the public hearing?
Motion?
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So it seems to me that what we ought to do is instruct staff to draw up an appropriate resolution, but again, making the distinction with this particular application that it's for emergency services, a little bit special than what we normally see, that we could possibly see, frankly. And that the fire department and the chiefs will do their best to replace bulbs and fixtures with 2,700 Kelvin. I think we should require that for any changes. And then I think Greg's and Jeff's suggestion that we take a look at post-construction to see what the actual needs are, and if there might be an opportunity to either reduce further the lumens or replace a fixture. We can take a look at that also. Again, giving you the flexibility too. It seems to me that we should give you the flexibility to decide what works best for your safety and also in costs and et cetera. Anything else that we would wanna condition? Jeff, anything else that you wanna see in the resolution?
You hit it all, thank you, sir.
Okay,
Yeah, we're good.
I'm good.
okay. So is there a motion then to adopt that instruction for the staff to draw up the resolution?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So unless you wanna come, you don't have to be there for the resolution. It's a great billing opportunity, but other than that.
After so long,
Maybe I wanna change the color of the picture.
Exactly, you never can tell what Greg might do when you're not here. Might have a new sewage requirement on the lights.
That's right.
thank you very
Thanks so
much.
much, Joe.
Appreciate your time.
You bet. Our next application is Nardozzi. This is Nardozzi LLC. It's a T-Square Properties, 64 Bedford Road, and 411 King Street. This is an application for site development plan approval for the installation of a monument sign and a pylon post sign. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good evening.
Aye.
Good evening, Mr. Cookwood, members of the board. My name is Jeff Warner. I'm a member, manager of Fast Signs in White Plains, and we're here to discuss the location of the sign, make sure we can install the 4x4 monument sign and the post sign, the other entrance. We had our pre-meeting via Zoom online here, and we were requested to get some engineer stamps from our friends over at JMC, and I don't know
Okay.
sorry, I did not prepare a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. You're gonna have it.
Tough to follow that up.
Great.
I can share the plans on the screen.
Super.
Okay, let me just- So I'm not sure, tell me which plan you want me to go to.
We could go to, I guess maybe that can zoom out. Is that a? I guess we could go right to the engineer drawing. C100 at the bottom right. Here,
Here's the survey.
these are the two proposed signs. Probably the last page of the whole. That must be it. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, this is the site, intersection of King and Bedford Road. The monument sign is gonna sit at the top of the hill on the, I guess, the,
Right on there, somewhere.
yeah, right around there. We drew it on the plan, let's see, but we understand we have to be 10 feet back from the state property, correct?
I believe so.
Yes, okay, cool.
Yep.
So we placed a sign within that restriction, and then the same at the other sign as well, the post and panel. It should be, there is a hydrant down at that location, at that entrance, and we're to install it 6 feet from that, which is the
Right in the
intention.
middle of the shrub.
Yeah, I believe our client will be taking care of the vegetation in the area.
Yeah, so you know, just to kind of jump in here. Mr. Chairman, if you want me to go through.
Please, yep, thank you.
Okay, so you know, I went out there and conducted a site visit. The original approval included 6 freestanding signs on the site. And that was back in 2009. There are actually no signs on the property now other than directional signs and no parking signs. The applicant is coming in with these 2 signs. We do not have separate regulations for the post signs. It would be considered a monument sign. So this is outside of what the code requires. The code limits a monument sign to 1 per site. So given the preceding signage on the site, there were 6 of them. You know, we're now going down to 2 of them.
Do you know how big the
but-
6, do you know what the square footage of the 6 signs were approved for?
I'd have to go back and look at the plan. I just looked at the site plan that was approved. I could not find the sign package that was approved, but I'm assuming that they were within the square footage of the code. Right now, one of those signs is not within the size requirements.
When we had our pre-meeting, we were I'm just throwing out the numbers here that we discussed. It was 14 square feet per side per the size of the building, and not to exceed 28 feet. And if it was, less than that, we could split it up into different signs. So that's kind of what we're kind of
14 square feet per side of the building?
per side of the sign.
So you could do 14 and 14,
That's
and then how many of those signs do you believe you're allowed to have?
1.
Just 1 total?
Yeah, well, just
Okay.
total of the square footage.
Gotcha.
So we went with much less, and I.
Right, so what we also needed is an understanding of how you calculated, because there's how you calculated the size. There are certain directions as far as calculating within the code to size it.
Okay.
So but setting aside the height and whatnot, I think that you actually need to include a little bit more detail on the plan. There's bushes, there's a telephone pole where you want to propose the sign at the driveway. There's things that you'll need to do to the site in addition to the signs, and the planning board would want to know what it is you're planning, if you're gonna remove the vegetation, if you're replacing the vegetation.
Yeah, I think the reason why we went with the hydrant side was because of the telephone electrical poles that are on the right side of the entrance.
I'd like to ask the fundamental question of what you're trying to achieve with the second sign. The first sign looks fine, and as long as you're not taking out the plants down here, there's some shrubs down there,
Yeah, no.
and not impacting those, that's fine. This is not exactly a destination shopping center. It's local.
Yep.
We all know what's there. We all know, who's there. And the location that you're proposing for this other one, which is now, perpendicular to the road, not only is there a hydrant and pole, there are a lot of signs there. And one of the things that we have here is, like this over signage on our roads, which is just too much. And, this would be half covered up by trees on the other side. I don't even know what the point of the sign is. And so asking for a sign that which you might not even have a right to, we'd have to do something special, the zoning board might have to do something special here. I don't understand why you're doing it. It's not going to open up a new vista of business for you.
Understood.
And it's just more clutter, frankly, on the road. I mean, really cluttered. Now, the other one I think would be, quite handsome and up on top of the hill. It's very attractive and nice, and it, gives the merchants some identification, that's nice. But again, it's not going to lead traffic in there, it's not like we've had other shopping centers where people have to loop around and figure out what's up there and where. And also coming in from other parts because it's a larger shopping center. This is a drugstore, a steakhouse and pizzeria and I just don't get it. So to clutter up our road and to ask for something that's not normally available in the code is crazy, it
I
seems to me.
absolutely agree with you. It was more of a request that our client, and they felt the need to have a sign there. We are
Another thing you
Fine.
can mention to them, the location of it right here. As you're traveling this way on the road, by the time you see that sign, you cannot make that turn. You just don't have enough time to physically stop. I mean, if this sign just doesn't work with this proximity to the intersection. I don't think you give enough, you're driving, oh, I see the sign, but by that point, you're already into the intersection. You cannot make that left turn.
It's also a very busy pedestrian intersection there where we have the special, pedestrian signs and blink and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of action there, a lot of activity. The sign is not, in my opinion, not gonna add anything except clutter. And not going to help the client, whereas the other is, again, I think
this
it's
sits
very
over here,
handsome,
right?
could be, yeah.
Now, is it illuminated?
no.
No illumination at all? I thought you would be.
Well, I mean, that as well, but also, there's another entrance around the other.
Around the backside, yeah.
Exactly, so I don't mean,
That's more like the alleyway entrance,
sure, but I mean, as far as our client's concerned, they're trying to make sure that they at least label where to go in there. Would you not agree?
I think we have signage for that. I think you have enter and exit signs there.
Okay.
Which is part of the clutter. Along with the street signs, for speed, and watch out for school and pedestrian crossings and then all the signs that people put up in that area, either during the campaign seasons or special events going on through town. It's like kind of a little quasi-informational area, on the hill there. So there's a lot of distractions.
Okay.
So, I mean, I love the idea. The first one, I think it's a great idea, and you've got it well positioned. It looks terrific, and it's easy.
Yeah.
We're done. We're done.
Now, but the other one is bigger than 14 square feet. It's 4 by 4, right? So it's 16.
Yes, it would be 16 square feet.
And were you limited to 14? Or is that just the number you guys came up with?
That was just what was told to us in our pre-meeting, so,
Okay.
but forgive me, I'm just trying to go on.
Yeah, okay,
I wanna make sure that we work within your
Sure.
what you like, of course, but we're hearing, 6 signs were approved before, we don't know what the size of that was. We didn't pull these numbers out of thin air.
Right.
It was, they were what we looked up on the website, I believe, and just we went with what we saw, and we're trying to maximize what we can for our client.
And do we know if those 6, you may not know, I'm asking, do you know if those 6 signs were tenant ID signs, directional signs, a combination of tenant ID sign? I mean,
I don't know. I'm hearing for the first time from Sabrina. So
because it may not be 6 signs that are for tenants, it might be 6 signs total, and
absolutely.
that could be some of the directional signs in that package.
Understood.
Because 6 retail signs for
I
signs
don't think
would be
it
a
was
lot.
directional.
You think
I
all
think-
you think all 6 are retail signage?
I do, at the time when that was approved, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So
we
there's-
wanna work with whatever.
I mean, it also most likely included the signs on the building.
Okay. That could be where the 6 retail signs are.
And that makes sense.
And there's 4 tenants in the building?
No, there's
5.
6.
6. Oh. Okay.
So that
that
could
might
be
be
it.
that may be your 6 signs.
Mhm.
And this may be a whole new ask, just for one sign.
We'll find out. I mean,
Well, we have 2 being proposed.
Right.
so, I mean, if you're, I will have to, if we're holding on to the monument signs at the very least, we wanna make sure that we can install it where it's going. And if there's any issue, I think what the question was before we get in pre-approval, was to make sure we were 10 feet back from the state line, correct?
Yeah, I think they're okay with that, aren't they, Sabrina? That one?
Correct,
And
correct.
that sign does not come into your line of sight as you go to
Exactly.
make the turn, right?
Exactly.
It's
Correct.
above us.
Parallel, it's
Right,
also
yeah.
parallel with the
Okay.
roads.
Yeah, it would be really right up against that
Right.
fence, not up against it, but
So you can make the
understand.
right turn and not worry about a blind spot from that sign. Okay.
Okay, did you have other comments, Sabrina?
Just to make the planning board aware that once the location of the sign is approved by the planning board as part of the building permit, it will be sent to the architectural review board for review.
Jeff, did you have any comments?
I mean, I think the big one that might make the point moot about if that sign's needed, is there was no sightline analysis that was provided. So you might not be able to put a sign there at all. We'd have to, I don't wanna make a judgment whether it's good or
Right.
not, but when you're coming out, there's a sightline triangle, you make a right hand turn, you know, you get to see the cars coming up the hill.
Right.
And that sign is directly in the middle of the,
Yeah.
you know, so
The second sign.
the sign on King.
Right.
So that would need to be provided, I
Yeah.
think, for, you know, to make an informed decision on that.
So the takeaway is, I think that if you wanted to pursue that second sign further on King, a lot more analysis and work would have to be provided. It still may not be approvable, whereas the other sign looks to be something that will get done pretty quickly.
Fantastic, we'd love to do that.
Okay,
Okay,
so I mean, if you take that back to the client, I guess. I don't think there's anyone here from the public speaking on this issue,
I don't think so.
okay? I guess we can, what do you think, you have to talk to your client, you can't just make a decision for them, so. I guess we'll just keep this open, as soon as you come back to us, tell us what you wanna do. And we'll just schedule for, continue the public hearing and decide what you wanna do and either, or if you're going to pursue the other sign, you're gonna have to, you know, submit the information that Jeff has indicated and also Sabrina's indicated.
sightline view understood, and then.
Yeah, and the other analyses that Sabrina's also mentioned,
Perfect.
so.
Yeah, I think the planning board would wanna see a replanting plan if you're gonna take out those bushes.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
We can be done.
Alright, great, thank you.
Pleasure, thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, are you continuing the public hearing to a certain date?
Well, yeah, I guess we are. What date?
You tell me.
Well, if you really want, do we have sufficient notice to even do it for the next meeting so that they can be done if they're not going to pursue the second sign?
We'd love the soon as possible. I'll talk
We hear that frequently.
Yeah, sure.
I would have to
Well-
ask Sabrina and Jeff if they would have time to review further plans.
Well, if there's going to be further
If there's
plans,
gonna be.
then I think
For
you
the
have to go into
15th.
September.
If not, it would be in September.
Okay. So if I come back with an email with a response from my client saying one way or the other,
Well, if you're going to abandon the other sign and just do the one monument sign, to the extent we can do it legally and with notice, we can try to do it for the next meeting and have you done.
I don't, it's not about notice, cause you've already noticed the public hearing, it's a continuation, but you have to
Okay.
continue to a specific date. But if you're looking to finish up before in July and not carry this into September because you're gonna stick with just the one monument sign, we do need time to put together a resolution for you.
fantastic. So if we do decide to do this one sign, what is the date that we need to get you the information to say that? I mean, I need to talk to my client obviously first. I would need at least 24 hours to talk to them.
You got 4 hours, midnight.
He runs a very tight ship. No trees ever come down with him.
Do you think it's reasonable to put this on for resolution on the 15th?
Oh, yeah. 15th of July?
Yes, if you're not going to pursue the other sign,
Yes.
yes.
If you're
you
not
can-
pursuing the other sign, then we could get it done. If you have to submit anything further, if you decide to do the two, then it can't go on.
Understood.
So we can
15th.
continue the public hearing till July 15th, is that the next meeting? And
Yes.
then if you can get us an email in the next day, tomorrow?
Yeah.
Talk to the client
Or
tomorrow?
by Friday,
I
or
just have-
Thursday?
One
Some are
question
easier
for
than
Wednesday,
others.
let's go, yeah.
one question for clarification.
Yes.
Sabrina mentioned that there were 6 approved signs. If it turns out that those 6 approved signs are on the building, does this trigger a variance for this monument sign?
No, because they're different types of signs.
Okay, so we could do, okay.
Okay, cool.
So they don't
They're
have to,
not
they don't have to go to
one
zoning,
One sign does not require variance.
but 2 would,
Yes,
gotcha.
Thank you
Correct.
for asking the question. I appreciate
that's another, but that would be another problem for you as well, you'd have to go and apply for a variance.
that.
So that won't happen by next.
You definitely need a
No.
call.
Yeah, understood.
Great.
But I can get back to you in the next day in regards to our client's decision with regards to the one sign.
But I would ask, Mr. Chairman, if you pass, if you make a motion for staff to draft, if the applicant is focusing on one monument sign, then staff shall direct, shall draft a
Resolution for the
for
15th,
your consideration.
okay? So is there such a motion? That's kind of a weird
I would like to
motion, but
propose a motion.
It's a nice conditional motion,
Yes, I propose that motion.
okay? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alrighty, are the folks here for CG Homes? I don't see Ralph.
On screen,
on screen.
top box.
You gotta speak louder, Lauren.
Try again.
Say it again.
Uh-oh.
Technical difficulty.
We're not getting any audio from you.
She's not speaking.
She's from his office.
We're not hearing him. The next item, if we can hear, is gonna be CG
You
Homes.
sound very far away.
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
so it's CG Homes LLC, 456 and 462 Armonk Road. This is an application for a preliminary subdivision plat approval, application for a stormwater management and erosion and sedimentation control, and tree removal permit for construction of a 4-lot subdivision. This is an informal hearing, continuation of an informal.
Would I be able to share my screen? I have the plans on my computer.
Yes, you did.
Do you see the plans?
Nope, not yet.
While Lauren is doing it, good evening, this is Greg Altschuler, I'm present as well. How are you guys?
Hello.
Sorry, I'm trying to get it on the screen, but it's
I use a large hammer.
Didn't this happen in one of the Star Wars? Captain Bronze?
I hit share. I don't know why it's not putting it up on the screen.
It's actually behind you.
Yeah, there it is. Oh.
Oh, you just had it.
Plan is lurking behind you.
Did I turn the camera off? I'm not sure.
I don't know, it's,
She needs to change her view
Enter.
settings.
yeah, oh, you have it?
She's on a setting where she's showing herself in the shot.
Yeah, you may wanna, the technical advice we're getting is that you may wanna change your view setting.
Okay.
Do we have it ourselves?
Sabrina does, yes.
We may have it ourselves, Sabrina may be able to put it up there.
Okay, if it's causing a problem, maybe.
Yeah, your screen is frozen right now. You haven't blinked for 20 minutes.
Okay, Lauren, I just refreshed it if you wanna just try sharing your screen again.
Okay.
There's something.
Is that what we're?
That's
Sabrina
from
has it up.
Sabrina.
There you go.
Sabrina's sharing
Alright, we see this document.
I think the plans are towards the end of the document.
This is just so frustrating for people, it's such a shame. Yeah. You know, they feel so badly and get embarrassed.
It's all good. We'll get there.
He's sweating at this point.
Yeah, it just takes, yeah, especially for the drawing.
Yeah, you're right, this is what we want. You see
Looks
the
like it's
best.
this looks like it's
Like this. Looks like it's the.
I think it should be on like page 40, 42, the PDF. Yeah. Thank you, Sabrina. So we made some slight changes to the plan since the last time we were at the board on May 20th. So the slight changes that we made to the plan were we were requested to widen the proposed common access driveway. That's, yeah. So we widened the access driveway to 24 feet. And we also adjusted the grading and the drainage layout since the last time we were at the board. We adjusted the vehicle turnarounds because they requested that while they set up the maneuvering plan that we submitted, we wanted to show that we can have a fire truck turn around in the access driveway. We also requested to submit for a wetland permit application since we're taking down the shed that's within the buffer. And as of right now, we're working on a landscaping plan that will include wetland mitigation for the area where we're taking out the shed. Most of the changes that we made since last time were just adjusting the grading, and we were able to reduce the cut on the site down to about 1,200 cubic yards. And we're working on all the other changes that we just received from the town. We're hoping that tonight we will be able to request that we would be put on the next planning board agenda so that we can open up a public hearing. But if the board has any questions about the changes, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Sabrina, I think you have comments? Is Sabrina muted?
I don't know.
I think she's on mute.
I feel like I'm at the Newark Airport Control Center.
Well, when she crashes, then we'll figure it out.
Well, Dennis, do you wanna go through your comments?
That's on that, okay. Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as summarized, they did submit a wetlands permit application. Again, the only activity that was going to occur in the buffer was to remove an existing shed. The footprint of that shed was not provided on the plan exactly as to what the size is, but my only recommendation is, once the shed is removed, obviously you're gonna have, whatever, hopefully, bare soil underneath, or if, I don't know if there's a foundation there that needs to be removed, but really, I think, this is, again, because you're working in that meadow area, less is more, in essence, was my sort of recommended approach, and I think, frankly, just, applying a seed mix, to the appropriate, pounds per acre in terms of the size ratio, and then, just a mix of, just simply herbaceous plants, native, and that probably are gonna accommodate per that location, more sunny, to partial shade and rake it in, and you're done. I'm not really into introducing any more materials into the wetlands buffer. Moving on to the tree replacement, they did provide a table with calculations. I kind of went through and just made some corrections. I wasn't quite coming up with their numbers, so I just summarized what I thought those corrections were, and to get down to the bottom line. They had reported that they needed to replace 339 trees. I came up with about 329, so you're still in a number of trees that need to be replaced following those removals. And as indicated, they are preparing a plan that I imagine is going to have to accomplish both replanting and, to a degree, a contribution obviously to the tree bank fund. But again, in consideration of that meadow community and sort of where it sits in its development and that it still functions, is that I would recommend to the board that that they don't include tree replacement planting within that 150-foot buffer, because in essence, if you're putting trees in to the meadow community, in and of itself, you're going to be changing that type of community. And because of where it's located and sort of how it developed, and really, as I've said before, the rarity of that I've seen during my time in Newcastle, it's not necessarily an improvement or a functional uplift to the system, which I know is probably counterintuitive to a lot of other applications that you see where it is beneficial to, let's get in more trees, let's plant more trees. Here, I don't think it quite necessarily, cuts the mustard, as they say. So and that basically is it for my comments on this application.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Sabrina, do you wanna make your comments? We couldn't hear you before.
Yeah, I think it had to do with thunderstorm that we're currently under. The only remaining question that I had is regarding the maintenance of the common driveway and the stormwater basin. And I think that the applicant should establish a homeowners association and provide the draft legal documents for that for town council to review.
Okay,
That is the end of my comments.
great, thank you, Sabrina.
Yep.
Bob, you had some
Sorry.
comments?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I have my memo here, it's a lot of items. Many are, in my mind, administrative that are still incomplete, technical items, sections, details, drafting revisions. However, I have 4 points I'd like to go over real quick, which are things I think should be substantially complete, if not 100% complete. Before I recommend these be completed prior to it going to a public hearing. Number 1 would be the stormwater plans and the stormwater report. There's still some outstanding items in there that should be substantially complete, if not 100% complete. Second item would be the preliminary subdivision plat. To date, a subdivision plat has not been submitted. The plat has to be done by a New York State licensed professional land surveyor. The PEs are great, but they're not licensed to do that, so that plat will serve a twofold purpose. It's going to incorporate all of the several easements that are required. You're gonna need a sightline easement along 128. You're gonna need stormwater easements, you're gonna need drainage easements, conservation easement as well. All those in that map will provide the basis of all the meets and bounds for all the documents that have to be submitted to town council to review. With stormwater inspection maintenance agreement is gonna be critical because that's gonna be reviewed by the town engineer to make certain, in conjunction with town council, to make sure it's gonna meet all the new MS4 quantifications and qualifications that are needed coming down the pike from DEC. So that's critical. Number 3 would be cost estimate. They submitted a cost estimate, however, it's missing the tree replacement costs, the wetlands mitigation, and any other landscaping that the planning would require. That's critical, but I don't believe, I defer to Dennis on this, I don't believe to date we received any sort of landscaping plan of this magnitude. I would highly recommend be prepared by a registered licensed landscape architect who's gonna come up with the numbers. We have to submit that to Dennis, he's gotta look at all these numbers. The plans that's done by the RLA has to be submitted to the board for review. Today, I believe we have not received that at all. Last but not least is a comprehensive construction sequencing plan, which is gonna outline to the board, and I'm sure the general public's gonna wanna see as well, on how this project will be constructed. Starting with the erosion control, lot by lot, with the stormwater infrastructure as well, with all the drainage, with the access roads, clearing the vegetation, all the plantings. So they have to really provide a narrative and a phasing sequence as well, that shows each individual phase. So I'm sure the general public might comment on it, and I'm sure the planning board wants to see that, how that will be established. I would recommend to the board that these 4 items that I just mentioned should be substantially complete and looked at by the board before a public hearing is set. And those end my comments for tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Comments from board members? Jeff, did we ask you for comments?
Bob further.
Sorry. Any comments from board members?
No.
Questions? No. I had some questions with regard to the steep slope application and the location of the pools. It seems to me, I'm not quite sure where, but lots 2 or 3 might have pools proposed in extreme slopes. And it seems to me that we really need to get some slope analysis in terms of what's being impacted and where. This application is proceeded on the basis that the 4 pools are just part of the house and it'll just automatically be done, but we do have a steep slope application and we are charged with looking at that and getting some sort of analysis. So if you can supply us with a lot by lot analysis of the steep slopes vis-a-vis the pools and what's going to happen, what the delta is going to be in terms of your cut and excavation with these pools, so we have that information. I don't think that's something that we should leave for final. I think we should take a look at it at preliminary.
Okay, I noted that, thank you.
Okay?
Did the 1,200 yards of material not include the pool work?
I believe it does include the pools.
Okay, thanks.
Well, that was a delta, that was a change since last time, a reduction of 1,200 cubic yards.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
But the number of cubic yards that are involved in this project are fairly substantial.
Right, but it does include the pools.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So we're not gonna get later on, oh, another 10,000.
Exactly, yeah, hopefully not, exactly. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll continue the informal, and with this information that we've asked for you to send to us, we'll continue the informal and go from there. And again, any questions that you or Ralph might have, obviously the staff's available.
Okay, thank you, and
Alrighty.
sorry about the technical
Oh,
difficulties.
it happens,
Thank you for your
unfortunately it happens
patience.
a lot, but it happens. Alright, great, have a good night.
You too.
Okay, we move now to the next item. This is a referral from the Zoning Board of Appeals. This is for the Whippoorwill Club, 150 Whippoorwill Road. This is an amendment to the special use permit. So as a member of the club, I have to recuse myself in terms of dealing with the conversation, the impact, et cetera. I don't believe that we have anything tonight that really is decision making. I'll sit here sort of like, so we don't have accusation that there's no quorum physically here, because I think we need 3. But it's a discussion item anyway. Council said that my presence is not that necessary anyway. But I think that was a general statement.
Thank you. Yeah, for the record, my name is James Ryan. Formerly with JMC, we're now represented by JMC, but I'm a board member at the club and representing this application. With me tonight is Anthony Nestor with JMC, responsible for the planning and the engineering, as well as Brian Schmidt, who is our club general manager. He's here for these proceedings as well. Absent tonight, Aqua Tectonics, I only point them out. They're our consultant. They designed the pool. They actually were engaged initially in 2023. We had an issue at the pool, which put us in a situation where we had to remedy a number of situations at the pool. The pool is 60 years old, and I think what was most important is that when we had the review of the health department, they pointed out a number of issues, some of which I think we were aware of, but most of which, in order to keep the pool open for the season, which we were hoping to do, we had to remedy a number of those too. Some of them had to do with some of the grades that were out there, the drainage, some of the signage and so on too. So we worked very closely with the health department to remedy those situations. Unfortunately, one of those had to do with drainage, and there was an improvement that was made without consent of this town too, and it had to do with some additional paving that had to go on too. That work was by and large measure to address a drainage issues. They had some collapsed pipes, creating some drainage issues that the health department pointed out.
What type of drainage?
What's that?
What type of drainage? Stormwater?
Stormwater drainage too. We had some coming down, cascading over the hills. It was creating these I think slick spots in the paving. The paving was heaving to a certain degree. So some of that all had to be corrected. So we worked very closely since 2023 with the health department. We engaged the services of Aqua Tectonics, a pretty prominent firm that's done a lot of pools in Westchester County, outside Westchester County, to advise us in looking at the pool from a larger perspective. Realizing 60-year-old pool had a lot of, I think, issues that if we were to make small changes to the pool, we would have to come in full compliance with Health Department code. I think the determination was made by the club that we really needed a new pool essentially to
that would correct essentially all the issues. So since '23, we've been working with the health department to correct these issues, and then I think in large part, the decision was made to basically replace the pool. There are areas around the pool that are being retained, but again, the health department has been actively involved from the very beginning since 2023. Right now, we're at probably the end of the review with the health department. We had gone through, and our architectural consultant, our pool consultant has gone through just a multitude of issues. Essentially what we're doing is replacing the whole interior of the pool, the gutter system had to be replaced, the mechanicals all had to be brought up to I think a current standard and health safety related to that. Physically, the only significant change in the pool is that we had a wading pool that was approved by this community in 2015. That wading pool, which Anthony is pointing out, that location, that wading pool right there too, was somewhat problematic because it had some access issues too. It was not a zero entry. Health department had advised us that it would be preferable, and in cases of most pools that are being built or rebuilt these days, to look at a zero entry pool for this pool. So it was decided that we would demo that pool and add this section of the pool that Anthony is pointing out. So it essentially, the shape of the pool is essentially the same with the exception of this area to the north side, which is the zero entry now. So essentially we're going from two pools to a single pool. The requirements for this obviously going through the zoning board of appeals because it's an amended special permit, and that's essentially why we're here looking for a recommendation and a referral from your board on this. I'll point out a couple of things too, but just to address, and I think Anthony had the plan to address the legalization issue. We worked with Mr. DePaul on that particular aspect of it too. It included, the details of how much of additional area was on there. Essentially though, what it also did is it gave us a chance to put something in place. And again, this is prior to this current application to deal with some of the storm drainage. 60 years ago, there was no requirement to do any kind of holding or detention for this area too. So that drainage had to go to a certain location, so we worked with the health department on the drainage, the collapsed portion of the drainage, essentially put in that new terrace area. And what it did is we were able to work with the health department to redirect that drainage into what essentially was a rain garden area too. So previously it had just spilled out essentially out to Whippoorwill Road. So the corrective measures that we made to keep the pool open for essentially these 2 seasons included that area of work as well. So this pool years ago was subject to a number of variances as well too. So there are variances for the front yard for the pool, and at a certain point for the I'll call it the kiddie pool, the wading pool, the equipment location. There's a building, you'll see a building down here, and that's actually going to be the location for the new pool equipment. It's actually slightly smaller because of the type of chlorination system that we're doing. So we're essentially having to rebuild that building. If you've seen that building, the building's essentially falling apart.
Is that the noise making equipment?
That probably is the noise making equipment for the most part of the pool. I think that the new equipment we're getting is all brand new too, so I think it's gonna be a lot less of an issue. All be housed, we're essentially in the same location it was housed before. But the building will be entirely new, essentially. So we are in the process of, as I said, dealing with all the health safety issues. A couple of things to point out too, that when we're doing this work too, there are some impacts to some of the local landscape, and I know your environmental coordinator has pointed out a number of things too. One of which I'd like to cover, and if possible to consider, this board consider it in their whatever recommendation might make to the zoning board of appeals. I think it was earlier this year, We had made a previous application for some trees to come down. I think, Dennis, there were 6 trees that came down as part of what we needed to do. And again, it was another health department issue to upgrade our septic system. We had a failing septic system too, and where those trees were, and I believe your requirements say you can only have 1 application per year. There are some trees that are affected by the improvements we're making, and this mostly has to do with when we tear down the existing maintenance building. There are some trees that are affected in the backside there, and there are also some trees affected by when we extend the existing pool to put in the zero entry to. There are some trees in that area that are affected by that too. I think Mr. Corelli had suggested that if the board were inclined to and again, it would have to be a recommendation from your board to ask the zoning board of appeals to consider a waiver on that too. Both of these instances are what we're trying to do is essentially address a number of health, safety, and health department related issues for this pool.
Do you know when the other permit was opened?
It was opened we made the application December last year, I believe,
in January.
Dennis, and then January the
You still
permit was
got
issued.
6 more months of the old.
Yeah, we do. What we are hoping to do is, let me start by saying, so the health department, during these 2 years that we've kept the pool open, we've filed our applications during that time for the new pool. Health department has been very considerate of the fact that they're allowing us to keep this pool open for last season and then for 1 more season. At the end of this season, basically, until we have a new pool that fully complies with all of the requirements, everything that we've been working on, we basically have to shut down the pool. So at the end of the season, we shut down the pool. Hopefully construction starts fairly soon after that, and then we can open it for the following season with the new pool, fully compliant, fully equipped with all the current health and safety requirements that they mandate on that too. So
like ideally you close in the fall, you open up late spring?
Open up late spring.
Labor Day, Memorial Day kind of
That would be the goal. That would be the goal. But we still have your consideration of your board on recommendations. We have the ARB tomorrow, and then we have to go back to the zoning board of appeals with these recommendations, whatever they may be, to ask them to consider that so that we can move this forward, so that we don't really essentially miss a season, which is very important to the club. So I think again, we're trying to improve. The crux of it is health and safety, but more importantly, it needed to be upgraded. It has been a problem year after year, and Brian Schmidt has basically taken over dealing with the health department on all of the issues. Every year we file health safety plans with the health department too. They've been very helpful, and they've been extremely helpful in helping us to address all of their issues for these 2 years. But they're anticipating that this pool will be under construction. We'll have a whole new pool the following season. So, Anthony, is there anything else that I might?
No, unless you
Have
want to
missed?
talk about
Yeah.
stormwater and things
Yeah.
like that.
So, on the technical side, we know that Sabrina has asked for a bit more information on a calculation, a coverage calculation, which we have done that. We haven't given that to her. We'll give that to her tomorrow morning. We have been working with your engineer too, who's been helping us out on the site on a proper stormwater system too, because we have to discharge our stormwater and our backwash to a location which, again, a 60-year-old pool never really had to do that. We need to do that now. I know that Mr. Gaspar has been working with our staff too. We did some recent perk tests too. We found the location that's on the property. Essentially, where this pool is located across the street is all Whippoorwill. So everything we're doing is staying in that area. The stormwater, the piping, as Anthony shows, all the utilities are all going to have to be new on this too. So we've got a lot of work to do, but again, we're hoping when we shut down this year that we'll be able to fairly soon after that start the work. We've engaged a contractor already, so we've already gone through a bid process with that, with the plans and so on too. So that's really where we're at this point. But again, we look to your board to make a recommendation to the zoning board of appeals to allow us to proceed essentially with a new pool for this too. And again, it's an important part of this club as well, so. So I'm here to answer any questions. Again, Anthony can answer any questions on the technical side. Operationally, our general manager can answer any questions you might have on that as well.
Do I take this over at this point?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
You're deputized.
Okay.
You're stuck.
I'm stuck, thank you. Okay, so let's start.
You spoke first.
Okay, so I guess let's just start with comments from staff. And then we'll go on comments to the board, and then we'll go from there. So let's start off with Sabrina, you still with us?
I am with you.
Okay, you wanna go over your memo with us?
Sure, and as the applicant stated, this application is currently before the zoning board of appeals to amend their special use permit. That process involves the zoning board of appeals issuing a special use permit and approving a site plan. They are required to refer to your board for any comments or concerns that you may have. I copied the planning board on my first memorandum to the zoning board of appeals, and I continued that line of thinking with my actual memo to your board. Under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, this is an unlisted action due to the amount of disturbance that is occurring. So the zoning board did declare themselves to be lead agency, and will carry forward on that. There were changes that the applicant needed to make to the environmental assessment form, and they did make all of those changes. And they footnoted, made changes regarding their table of land use. There was a footnote that was missing. They did add area calculations to one of their plans as I had requested, and provided a plan that was missing based on their submission. And then Jim had addressed the coverage calculations that they are preparing but haven't submitted yet. So it is not a huge amount of change. I think the devil's in the details when it comes to stormwater, which I'm sure Jeff can speak to, and landscaping.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, let's go to stormwater then,
Sure, I mean.
and other comments.
Typical, we had about 20 comments on stormwater. It's nothing that I think is going to, I don't think there's anything that I can't deal with. I do believe that based on recent tests that they did, the stormwater system is probably going to have to be across the street. They're different lots, I believe, so there may be some work that has to get done with respect to tying the lots together, because you got stormwater from one lot going into a second lot. In 50 years, if they happen to wanna sell one of them or something like that, so we haven't been provided any information on that, but ultimately they're gonna have to work through these stormwater questions. But I don't anticipate having an issue ultimately.
Got it, okay. Dennis?
Thank you, Mr. Non-Country Club Chairman. So, as Mr. Ryan pointed out, right, the first part of the memo is just, administratively documenting the code as written. Obviously I did wanna point out, because the country club obviously is of size in terms of acreage and even purpose and need of projects are two, kind of diametrically opposed. You got septic in one and jumping in water in the other. So again, other than the calendar, these are not the same projects, and and obviously you could have more than one project, especially on a property of this size. So I just kind of did this for what is really, I guess, my role in due diligence, but how this could be navigated, so that you can get 2 permits in a year on the same parcel, and albeit a large parcel for 2 totally different projects. That's kind of just why I put that out. And then the rest really, it's just for administrative completeness, because like I said, there was just a couple questions I had with respect to a tree that had an X on it that, you know, didn't necessarily have any details associated with it. And I was just justifying, you know, some of the diameters that were shown for removal, why they would be regulated, because within the regulated landscape buffer, the diameter drops from 8 inches to 4 inches as to what would require a permit. So with that, the last part of the memo was, you know, just sort of, you know, some of these plans, you know, show the breakdown tables of, you know, going through the calculations of, you know, this is what we're removing, this is what we're required to replace in terms of diameter. And since they, you know, they do have a replanting plan that's fairly robust, I would imagine that this is gonna, you know, work out, not be an issue at the end of the day. I just need to sort of see it so I can check the box that yes, you meet the replacement requirements, and yes, you appear to be providing, you know, what would be considered screening or, you know, working with whatever, you know, you may be retaining in terms of a natural buffer to basically just accommodate the definition of the regulated landscape buffer. And that basically summarizes my comments.
Just to point out too, we do have it on this plan that shows, we did the calculations for Mr. Corelli, but we're submitting that tomorrow too, so we'll have that tomorrow as well. There was one last thing, Dennis, that you had mentioned about the trees for the septic system too. I talked to the ground superintendent, and within the next 2 weeks, he's got the trees, some of the trees, he's waiting for all of them to come in so that he can plant those. So within the next 2 to 3 weeks, those will be in place too.
Okay, and I would just say, and I'm not restricting you from doing that, but if it's July, you want an irrigation plan of some sort with those trees going in. So,
Yeah,
okay,
we have irrigation in the areas.
sounds good. All right, thank you.
What are my next steps, John?
Where do you wanna go?
Well, it seems like Jeff is waiting for some information, but nothing that's really holding him up, where I think we could continue to
No,
go
and
forward.
we're dealing with it with the zoning
Right,
board
and
as
if it
well.
could come in, so I feel we can make a recommendation to the zoning board right now. The issue with the tree permits, do we address that now, or does that get addressed at the next discussion?
Depends on what you want, it can be addressed in your recommendation to the zoning board,
Okay.
is how you say they should, how the board feels they should address that issue.
Gotcha.
And how you feel they can address the issue. It's a recommendation.
So I can make a recommendation and talk to Jeff and talk to Stuart to get their input on it.
Correct.
Fair enough, okay.
Well, you should talk to them and then make the recommendation.
Stuart, would you like to give me some thoughts on the tree permit issue?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my only comment would be that it seems like there's a couple of, you know, there's certain information that's gonna be submitted tomorrow. And as long as we're satisfied with that, I don't know that there's anything that would hold us up.
Okay, thank you. Jeffrey? Jeffrey?
Me?
Yes. Just any thoughts before we continue to make our recommendations?
No, I mean, I think this is a good application, summarizing and brings on to conformance and defer to staff, but I'm in favor.
I concur. So that's John.
If I could make one suggestion about the tree planting, and
Please do.
and I might be a little, but you said that the initial planting from last year's permit hasn't been undertaken yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's been designed, but they haven't been actually put in the ground yet. We're going through a major renovation of course.
I understand, can we amend that application and add these trees to that?
Of course, you could. I would have no issue with that, cause they've all gotta go in. Essentially what we're doing with the trees that are being affected, when we move that area back to create that zero entry, there are trees that are essentially in the way of the construction. We may be able to, I'm not quite sure that we can do it yet, but we may be able to maybe still get the construction in there, it's just easier. On that one side, you see the green trees that he's pointing to too, that's where the trees are coming down. We
Those
really
are
don't
the
wanna take down any trees, but that we're replacing those with new trees basically roughly in the same location. It's just that they're so overgrown that they'd be interfering with the construction.
So you just commented that you're gonna be planting some trees in July. Are those
No, I'm sorry, those are actually in another location.
Those are different trees.
They're on poll number.
Okay, got it.
poll
From
number
the January permit.
From the January permit.
The ones in July are from the January permit.
And I just put it up on the plan. Again, my name's Anthony Nestor from James A. So the plans from January are back in this area. So this building right here is the main clubhouse.
So John, are we talking about amending this application to receive those trees?
No, amending that application to
receive
include these
The
trees.
proposed trees? Got it.
And just so for content too, those trees are over here, and this is the pool way over here. So those are,
And that won't affect any timing of the planting of the trees,
No,
right? The trees will still be planted when you want, timing wise.
yeah,
Alright, Dennis?
So my only question would be, is the original application was submitted to me as the environmental coordinator. This is now a board application, so I could revise anything, but in the same permit, it would be two approving authorities. That's okay?
Well, I have a suggestion, because before we get back to the zoning board of appeals, we'll get those trees in. So, it probably would be a moot point at that juncture too. So I'll just have our ground superintendent just get them in early, get the plants, get them in early too. And that would be before we are back before the zoning board.
And then that closes that.
That would close that out.
permit.
Yeah, so we're just
You
gonna
get
have
them
to.
in, I'm assuming there's some approval review, and then that closes it up.
Yeah.
But this board, if you consider this, like the Kittle House, you could recommend the zoning board waive that restriction due to the ambiguity in the law itself and the nature of these two applications.
And I can direct staff to prepare that recommendation for the
Yeah.
zoning.
It's your recommendation, it's this board's recommendation. And and we can address that with the ZBA to the extent that they can act accordingly.
That would be helpful, thank you, if you could.
If that's it, then do I direct staff first or do I close the public hearing? Oh wait,
There's no public.
there is no public hearing. Okay, so then I'm gonna direct staff to please prepare a recommendation for the planning board to give to the zoning board for the applicant to proceed. Based on everything.
Can I suggest that be a memo that can be signed by the acting chairman, so we can get it to the zoning board of appeals for their meeting this month?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense to me.
So, Felicia will work with you, Greg?
You know how to reach me.
Much appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for your time.
You have to do the motion.
Oh, sorry.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Jeff?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, have a good night.
You do as well.
Great, thank you, Greg.
We need a class for this.
Or you can practice at home, that's what I do. Great, thank you very much. So we have the minutes of June 3.
Yes.
Now we have this one adjustment, very appropriately, on page 5 of 5. Felicia gave us that extra page. And what I had recommended was that we insert something that reminded us that we did have that conversation about the trees and the tree application with the Kittle House application. And we made some comments that distinguished that particular application, and the reason why we were basically assuming that it was a continuation of the same application. And again, there was some information and discussion that, they really needed to move forward with the project. They were closing down. It would operate as a tremendous financial hardship if the trees were held up until October. So we went through some of the distinctions and what we're concerned with is making, as with this application too, just willy-nilly changing precedent. So if you are going to do this, it has to be, it seems to me, for particular reasons, as we did even with the firehouse earlier this evening, distinguish that application from those that we normally see. what Dennis would not wanna see is us or him being subject to people coming in every 3 months for another application on the same parcel for trees. You know, I wanna clear another 8, I wanna clear another 8, and I'll be back in, 2 months for another application. That defeats the purpose and the intention, the public policy behind the regulation. So that's why I think we have to be careful with precedent, that's why I wanted to make sure that we had some sort of distinguishing information, so that, lawyers like Stewart don't ruin us in the future. And cause us problems.
I've been outed.
Anyway, with that amendment, is everyone okay with the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes as amended? Motion. Second? All in favor? I mean, no, wait a second.
Who seconded?
I don't know, I was not here last meeting, so.
Alright, I'll second.
Okay, very good, Jeff, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay, motion's carried. Is there a motion to close the meeting?
Motion.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we did it.